welcome everybody to the Magic Beans podcast. We are back again for episode number 161. I'm your host tonight, and I'm joined by just one bean on the line, and his name is Cracker, and my name is Shorty. How's it going, Cracker?
I'm good, Shorty. How are you, mate?
I'm all right. I think that's the first time I've ever actually stuffed up that intro.
Did you forget your name briefly?
I forgot to tell people what my name is because, you know, the people who listen to our podcast have never heard my name before. They have no idea who I am, and I have to say it at the start of every episode. And, you know, we sound so similar in our voices.
We do. Yeah.
If I don't specify, this is me, this is what I sound like, and then this is Cracker, this is what he sounds like, then people just get confused.
Well, we don't want to confuse people. We do that enough already, mate. We don't need to, increase it by making them think we're not who we are.
Yeah. We confuse them with our advice on what deck to play.
Don't do that.
That sort of stuff.
We've been very clear. Don't follow our advice. We only ever say the things that we're going to do, and that's probably not what you should do.
Yeah, probably safe to do the opposite of what we say to do.
Almost. There is one thing that people should do, though, and that's go to Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar.
Oh, jeez, you're so good at this, Cracker.
I've done it before, mate. They're the sponsor of our podcast, and we love them. They help us put on the tournament series that we've got running at the moment with our league, and they're a Facebook Magic card auction page. They've also got, I've been just 10 minutes too slow on a bunch of Win It Now postings in the last few days, man. I'm starting to get tilted. I'm not going to lie. Like I keep saying, there was a really sweet, new art Japanese consecrated Sphinx. It was It was like $20 or $25, which is really reasonable. And I was like, yes. One comment. Oh, it was so close. So I knew that was gone already. But those go up every night, so you should definitely check those out. But you do have to be really fast because the prices are really good, and Pat always ships things out very quickly. So go check them out, jp.mtgbazaar.com. And when you win things, or you do snipe a win before me, let them know that the bean sent you, and they'll send you some tokens and stuff.
Very good. So professional, Cracker. Just straight into it. I didn't even
I just
prompt you.
Slipped it in there, mate. I was pretty pleased with that one, not going to lie. Calling it out makes it so much better.
We're all set to be way off on topic for 10 minutes, and you just reeled it back in.
I know. I'm used to talking with Chewy, that's the thing.
Very good. All right, so tonight's podcast is basically, it's almost like a bit of a news podcast, which we haven't done in a little while. We've been fairly focused, and I guess sort of switching to the fortnightly format. We're a bit more focused in the topics that we're doing, but you and Chewy did actually put out an extra episode last week.
We did.
If you haven't listened to that already, go and have a listen.
Bonus content.
Yeah, very good. But it does mean every now and then we do need to catch up on the news. And I mean, the news at the moment, well, kind of over the last 3 or 4 weeks, has just been that there are 1 million new sets coming out over the next few months. Out of nowhere, it was like, hey, this is coming out. Oh, and then this is also coming out. And oh, by the way, there's also this thing called Commander Masters, which no one knew was coming this year. And we're going to release that as well. So, goodness me, so many sets. And none of this is including all the millions of secret layers that drop every 5 seconds. So, yeah, just new Magic cards left, right, and center. So, you guys mentioned on the podcast last week, Shadows Remastered. So, the Innistrad, Shadows over Innistrad, and Eldritch Moon, the remastered version of that coming to Arena.
Yes.
So, we'll have a bit of a look at we've got the full card list for that, so we'll have a bit of a look at that. That does release on March 21, so that's next week. And that's, sort of just part of Wizards backfilling towards Pioneer. And I did hear and see somewhere that they've said that with this release, they're going to have 95% of the top cards from the recent Pioneer Pro Tour on Arena. Now, they're not including Xenagos and World Spineworm, so...
Wow, the disrespect.
There's a couple of cards.
It's the winning deck, mate. Come on.
It is. It's the winning deck, yeah. You'd think they could just add them. But they weren't in either of the Innistrad sets, so that's fine. I'm give them a pass with that. But
that's true.
We are getting close to having full Pioneer on Arena, which is pretty cool. So that's coming up soon. Then we've got March of the Machines, which is the next standard set that's coming out on April the 21st. I think that's the paper release. I think the Arena release is the week before, as well as the paper pre-releases. So that's basically a month away till we're getting that on Arena. So that's pretty cool. That's sort of the continuation of the Phyrexia story that we've had, Brothers War and Dominaria and all that sort of stuff going into Phyrexia that we've had over the the past few sets. So we might have to get old mate J-Mud back on for a bit more lore when we get to
we could do
March
that.
of the Machines. But yeah, there's March of the Machines, and then there's the Aftermath.
Yes.
Which we'll talk about when we get to that. There, as well as a Plane Chase set. Have you played Plane Chase, Cracker?
Once.
Okay. I don't really know. I know it's like you have these big cards that are kind of like world enchantments or something like that.
Correct.
Yep. And you sort of play, but they have like some sort of effect on the whole game.
Exactly. So, at each turn you roll the plane die, and like on a lot of them it'll just be nothing happens, or it might be, you flip over and you change planes, and then it will be things like all creatures have haste, or, all creatures into the battlefield tapped, or like all mana taps for double or something like that. So they are symmetrical effects across everyone, but sometimes when you roll it to a new plane, you might get like a little bonus. As the player who's kind of plane shifted to that. So, it's pretty cool. It makes it interesting. Commander with that is kind of wild, is my understanding.
Do people play them for Commander?
Yeah. I mean, it's Commander, mate. People do whatever they want.
That's very true.
But, it's definitely, it's its own thing. It's pretty cool.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, so there's that. Then we have the Lord of the Rings set, which is a modern legal set. So this is the replacement for a Modern Horizons set this year, which is going to be interesting. That releases June 21st.
Already got cards.
We'll be talking about that tonight as well. And then, Commander Masters. So Commander Masters was just a random announcement.
Surprise.
That kind of came out of nowhere. And I guess it's in the vein of like the Commander Legends set that came out a couple of years ago, something like that. Mm-hmm. Although I think this set's actually going to be good. Like, we don't have...
Like the first one? Like the first Commander Legends?
Yeah. Yeah, so this one, we don't have many previews, but we know we are getting Jeweled Lotuses, which are super expensive.
They are insane.
Like $1,000 for a foil
Sure.
art,
Why
extended
not?
art, or whatever it is, Jeweled Lotus.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be, more of those as well. Getting the Dragon.
Really cool profile border Lassard on that one too, actually. I think it's cool.
Yep. And capture of, I don't know how to say that, Jingzhao?
Jingshao, I think it is.
Okay.
But
sure. I'll take
Time
your word
Warp.
for it. Yeah,
it's a really old card from Portal 3 Kingdoms. Yeah.
Portal 3 Kingdoms card. Yeah.
It's just Time Warp.
Yep. So that is coming out, Commander Masters is coming out on August the 4th. So we've got paper releases. We've got one towards the end of April, then one towards the end of June, and then one early August. Goodness me, that is a lot of stuff to buy.
Well, you're forgetting that there will be another standard release in between those as well.
Right. Okay.
Because the April set only goes until
I guess there'll be a July
set.
A July set, which is...
And then there'll be a September one.
Is it the Eldraine set next and then Ikoria? No, then Ixalan?
I think so.
Or is it Ixalan one first?
No, I think Eldraine is first. Eldraine will be sweet. I'm really looking forward to going back there. Hopefully it's not as busted, but, who knows.
So, that's sort of what we're going to talk about tonight. All these new set releases and, some of the cards that we're excited about. So, we'll get into that. So the first one, Shadows Remastered. So, as we said, backfilling on Arena the Pioneer card pool, and we do have the full card list.
We do.
Released, and, we were sort of talking before the podcast, like I went through and made a list of the cards that are like Pioneer played, because that's sort of the most important thing, I guess, with Explorer, because Explorer does tend to sort of mimic the Pioneer format a fair bit. Yeah,
I mean, if we're hitting 95% of the card pool, then you would expect to have, be playing decks that are 90% complete.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah. And there are quite a few decks that are now like straight ports from Pioneer onto Arena. So, like,
and some that are just straight missing as well.
Yeah. So, like the Creativity deck that I've been playing, the entire deck is on Arena except for Xenagos and Worldspine Worm. So I just played the same version, but I play the Sage of the Falls, Locust God. It's basically just 2-card combo as well. So
Except you can actually cast those ones.
I can actually cast them, yep. You don't really want to be doing that, but it's not quite as good. But like if they kill one of your creatures, you kind of get nothing from it. Whereas if they kill your Worldspine Worm, you still get 3 worms from it. So that's nice.
And you shuffle it back in so you can do it again.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, we were scrolling through the card list and it was like, oh man, there's this card and this card and this card that are all like they've seen modern play or heavily played in standard, and they just don't see.
They're just bad, man. Like
I'm
just looking at these cards, thinking this thing was a standard all-star.
Yep.
Like Diagraph Colossus, right? It's a 3-mana 2/2 that doesn't do anything. Like, it's just a pile of stats.
Yep.
It makes some zombies. Like, I don't know. There's a million different things.
Yeah. Declaration in Stone.
Mm-hmm.
What was the black card? The Collective Brutality.
Yep.
What was the red creature?
Oh, Bedlam Reveler. We were talking
Bedlam
about that won a Pro Tour, mate.
Yeah. Yep. I played that in Mardu after Jerry T won the Pro Tour. So a bunch of stuff that it's super powerful, but they just don't quite fit into the Pioneer format. And I don't know if that's, like, we've sort of spoken about it before, like, is that people just aren't, like, brewing and testing this sort of stuff, or is it just not good enough? And we did have the Pioneer Pro Tour recently, so I would assume that pros would have looked at a bunch of options and just found that they're not good enough. It could be that those cards are missing, like, the modern power level support cards to go with them to make them strong enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So, Shadows over Innistrad came out in 2016.
Okay.
And
that's a long time ago now.
That is a long time ago now. And it turns out that the cards now are just way better.
Yes.
Just like orders of magnitude better. Like, it's just nutty, the power level difference in what you get. It's just stuff that, like we said, saw a lot of play, just... they wouldn't see playing standard now.
No. And unless they can compete with Fable of the Mirror Breaker, they're probably not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, so we thought we'd go through and pick some of the ones that we know are Pioneer playable. They're already being played in decks, and so will probably have an impact on the Explorer format. We are likely, I think you guys mentioned on the podcast last week, it's pretty likely that our next league will actually be Explorer. It'll be good to play something a little bit different. People aren't super excited about Standard at the moment, so getting this release right before our next league will kick off is going to be pretty cool because we'll have some cool decks. So there's a few white cards that are coming in. Griff's Boon, the green-white Auras deck just lost in the finals of the most recent Pro Tour, so a solid pickup.
Gives a creature flying. Yeah, I mean, it's 1 mana. Also, the Orzhov Auras as well. We talked about that. They actually had really high win rates overall. The Auras decks. So this one's actually just really strong.
Griff's Boon's really good because it gives your creature flying, which is it's
huge.
Giving it evasion, so it's good to try and get it through. But it also, you can cast it back from your graveyard. So a problem with those sorts of decks is you suit up a creature and then it gets killed through some means, and then you lose all your enchantments. So being able to get your Griff's Boon back from your graveyard is really good. So definitely a good pickup there. What's the next one?
Selfless Spirit. So huge in the Spirits deck. 1 and a white, 2/1 with flying. Sacrifice it. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. This card is just good. It just sweeper protection for the Spirits deck. It's exactly what they want to do. They just protect their go wide squad, and it's just really annoying to get around. You kind of have to double spell everything, and it can just be enough of a tempo for that deck to do what it needs to.
Yeah, often you have to just kill the Selfless Spirit first, and then get that off the field, and then hope that you can untap and then wipe the board, sort of thing.
Yep.
It's quite painful.
Or target the thing that you actually want dead and hope that they pop the Spirit, so then you can But it's a 2-turn thing for sure.
Yep. Sigarda's Aid. So modern playable card. This one. Single white for enchantment. You can cast auras and equipment spells as though they had flash, and whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you may attach it to target creature you control. So we do have Hammer. Colossus Hammer in Explorer, as well as a bunch of other reasonable equipment. So this is obviously a huge part of the modern Hammer Time deck, and there is a Pioneer version of the Hammer Time deck. So getting this in Explorer is going to be pretty cool. It'll be good to see what people do with it. I like that in the picture. It's a picture of, I'm assuming that's Sigarda, giving a person a hammer. It's like, here you go, have a hammer. It's like foreboding or whatever.
It's true, yeah. I mean, it's also, like I said, it's from 2016, so it's a long time ago. They weren't planning Colossus Hammer at the time.
Oh, you never know, Cracker.
Well, you lose flying, mate. So Sagada would be on the ground.
Yep.
But anyway, the next card is one I've cast a bunch of times, and that is Pour Over the Pages. So 3 blue, draw 3 cards, untap 2 lands, then discard a card. This thing is played in the Lotus Field combo deck because when you cast it, you are +1 mana because your 2 Lotus Fields tap for 6, and it just churns through the deck. So this is like one of your better payoffs. It digs really deep and generates mana, so this card is great.
Now, we still don't have Hidden Strings on Explorer, and we don't have Thespian Stage either, so I still don't think we're going to be able to play...
Like I said, when there are some decks that are missing completely, you cannot play Lotus Field combo without those 2 things. Like, the Thespian Stage is just like a hard requirement for that deck to be a starter in any way.
All right, next one is one that I have played a few times, which is Pieces of the Puzzle. 2 and a blue, sorcery, reveal the top 5 cards of your library, put up to 2 instant and or sorcery cards from among them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. So this is a key piece of Phoenix, which up until recently was like a top tier Pioneer deck, but I think Creativity has kind of taken it over. They're kind of...
Yeah.
2 decks that play on the same axes, and as we've mentioned previously, the Creativity deck just has an I win button, whereas Phoenix is like, oh, did I find 3 or 4 Phoenixes in my top 20 or 30 cards? Nope. Okay, well, I lost. And
tacky for 6.
You still might not get there. So, yeah, like it's really good card, but it's also, the Phoenix deck is also missing the Delve cards, your Treasure Cruise and your Dig Through Time. So Pieces of the Puzzle really fuels that. You know, it digs you 5 deep, you get to take hopefully a Treasure Cruise or something like that, and then you get to bin a whole bunch of cards so then you can cast that Treasure Cruise really cheap. So yeah, Phoenix will still be around, but the pieces are slowly getting there. The pieces of the puzzle are slowly falling into place, as Chewy might say.
Okay, so the important thing about Pieces of the Puzzle is that it combos with Brain in a Jar and Rise from the Tides, which was just a thing I did in Standard at the time.
I don't even know what that is.
Oh, mate.
Create 6 mana, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. Wow. Sounds like it's good friends with your mate Horty Jin.
Yeah, it was. You used to play. What was it? Engulf the Shore, which was like Returnal. Okay. You used to bounce all the things. Anyway, not remotely playable. But anyway,
it doesn't stop you from playing it, Craig.
It would not stop me from playing it because that's my jam. I think even though you should talk about the next card. We mentioned it last week.
Sure. Yep. Next card is one of my all-time favourite cards, Thing in the Ice. 1 and a blue for an 0/4. Creature Horror Defender. Enters the battlefield with 4 ice counters on it. When you cast an instant or sorcery, you move an ice counter. And then when it has no ice counters, you transform it. And on the other side, it is the Awoken Horror, a 7/8 Kraken Horror. And when it transforms into it, you bounce all non-horror creatures to their owner's hand. So I've played an absolute ton of this card. And I was hanging for it to be on Arena for Phoenix, because it gets played in Phoenix.
Yep,
and
for the longest time.
Now I just don't care.
So sad.
But I did, at the regional championships, playing Pioneer in the 5K, I played against Phoenix, and my opponent had a flipped Thing in the Ice. So they had the Awoken Horror, and I played a Hullbreaker Horror, which is this card.
It is that card, correct.
It is literally this card, and it was like, oh, nice horror you've got there. I've got a Hullbreaker Horror, and mine's slightly better than yours.
Literally doing the Spider-Man meme where you're pointing at each other. Yeah. Except so yours is way better after it's flipped.
Mine then bounced his his horror
and
to his head.
Your Hullbreaker Horror, as the name implies, is a horror, so it's not even like Thing in the Ice flipping would bounce it. Yeah. Nope. Good times. Next card is another one I've cast a few times as well, which is Eldritch Evolution. 1 green, you sacrifice a creature, and then you go find something with a mana value up to 1 greater.
2 greater.
Into play.
X,
2 greater.
X is 2 plus the sacrifice creature. Yep.
Apologies, I was scrolling for the card. This sees play in Greasefang. You can play your turn 1 zombie that mills things.
Stitches Supplier.
That's the one, and then you untap and get to turn it into a grease fang, which is real good.
Yeah, you bin 3 from playing the Stitch Supplier, then you bin another 3 when you sacrifice it.
Mm-hmm.
And then
you're guaranteed to hit a Parhelion too. And
you're going to hit something and off you go.
Yeah, it's a turn 3. It's just density. It's just more copies.
Yeah, exactly.
Of that for that. I don't know whether there's other things it would see playing. It's potential. Like, it sees play in some modern decks. It sees play in Yawgmoth as like a kind of a combo piece. But
it's always part of a combo.
Correct. It is not usually a fair card. It's definitely played as doing an unfair thing. So, one worth keeping an eye on.
All right. The next one is a card that I have put into play many times, but have cast very, very few times. Prized Amalgam, 1 blue-black for a 3/3 zombie. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, you return Prized Amalgam from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped at the beginning of the next end step. So when Pioneer first started, I played a fair bit of the Dredgeless Dredge deck.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of hinged around Prized Amalgams. And this was a piece that was missing from that deck. I think pretty much that whole deck is now on
Explore. Yeah, because Narcomoeba's been in the format for a long time.
And and we've got Stitcher Spliers, we've got the Seder Wayfinder, and all that sort of stuff. I've forgotten what it's called, the green black Grizzly Salvage, like that's all there as well. So I think all the pieces there. I don't know if the deck's any good, but it's there. So interesting to know.
Next up, we have Spellqueller. We're talking about Selfless Spirit before. This is another absolute house in that deck. 1 blue-white, flash, 2/3, flying. When ETBs, exile a target spell with mana value 4 or less. And then when it leaves the battlefield, the exiles card, owner may cast it without playing its mana cost. So this thing sucks if you are playing against it, because it exiles the spell, so it doesn't counter it, even though it counters it effectively. So you put it on the stack and then they flash this in and it just gets tucked underneath your Spell Queller until, you can get rid of it. But then they've got a Selfless Spirit in place, so you can never get rid of the Spell Queller. And,
it's the tempo.
Yeah, this thing is an absolute beating. And particularly when they hit it off Collected Company.
Yes.
Along with something else as well.
You cast something, they respond with Collected Company, and of course they hit a Spell Queller.
Hit this and a Lord, and you're just like, all right, GG's. Super powerful card. Kind of one of the linchpins of that deck.
Yeah. Yep. So it means, we've seen mono blue spirits, we've seen blue white spirits, we've seen Bant spirits. So there's a bunch of versions of that can go in. So definitely a good addition.
So
and
this card, Chewy and I were speculating last week as to whether they were going to put it on. Because it was the face card of the set. It was the big bad that they've been building to for a long time. What do we got?
Emrakul, the Promised End. So I have cast this quite a few times actually in Mono Green Tron. So this is the 13 mana Emrakul, and it was the big bad face card of the Eldritch Moon set. To everyone's shock and surprise, it was Emrakul that was the big baddie of the set. No one ever saw that coming.
Yeah.
But this is costs 1 less to cast for each card type among cards in your graveyard, and when you cast it, you gain control of target opponent. You gain control of target opponent during that player's next turn. After that turn, that player takes an extra turn. It's got flying, trample, and protection from instants, and it is a 13/13. So you're usually casting this for like 8 or 9. That's pretty normal. And when you're playing Tron, that's easy. No worries sort of getting that sort of mana. The thing, it's obviously very good. It's a finisher, 13/13 flying, trample, pro instance, very, very, very good. But the thing that is a big question around this is, how is Arena going to handle the gaining control of target opponent during that player's next turn? Because we haven't seen this on Arena yet. This is the first Mind Slaver effect, which is the OG version of controlling a player in their turn. This is the first time we've seen that on Arena. So how do you think it's going to work, Cracker?
So I think we've already seen a bit of precedence in terms of when you duress someone, it already lets you see their hand, and you can minimize it and go back to the battlefield. So I think it'll be similar to that, where it'll just either keep their hand, so afterwards you see it all the cards face up. I wonder whether it's just going to be like that, where it just turns the cards face up in your opponent's hand, and then you can just interact with it, and it will, do the auto tapping stuff, or you can click on their lands and tap their thing. I think that's probably the way that it will work.
Yeah. because you've also, you can tap their lands. You've also, you activate all their abilities. You've got their creatures that you can attack with, but it's also you're making them do things, and then you have to respond with your stuff.
Correct.
So, like, you will often, chump attack their creatures into your own Emrakul. So it's how does it let you skip through all the phases? Because you, as the player, need to be able to respond to each part of the phase as well.
Okay, so
how does that work?
I'm going to go one more on you there.
Yep.
Whose clock is it using?
Well, yeah, that's a good point too. Yep.
Because in theory, you could just Emrakul someone, take their turn, and AFK.
just let them time it. It would have to use your clock. Like, you are controlling their turn, so it would have to use your clock. But it's going to be very interesting.
Super hard, because that's a lot of clock management. You've got to make sure that you can play. And look, generally speaking, when you put Emrakul on the stack, you win because people concede to it. But not always.
Yeah, not always. Yep.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see. I will be tuning in to watch some streamers struggling with this on the first couple of days.
I'm hoping that they've come up with some sort of intuitive system that's like, oh yeah, okay, that works, that makes sense, and it's clear that, okay, I'm passing priority for you, then I'm passing priority for me. Okay, let's go to combat. So let's declare your attackers, and then it goes to me,
declaring
and
the
then
blockers.
I can declare blockers, and then it goes to you, so it's going to be it has to constantly switch between the two, unless you as your player has no responses.
That's true.
That's not off, but at least you're going to have blockers and things like that. So
you've got a 13-13. We'll
have to wait and see.
Yeah, it'll be weird, because you'll get that whole thing. I want to target my creature with my removal spell, and Arena's like, "Are you sure?" It's like, yes, I'm 100% sure that's the thing that I want my opponent to do, is kill their own best threat. So it will definitely be interesting. But I'm really glad that they have done it.
Yeah, what I'm interested in seeing is the animation that they come up with for Emrakul, because this will be an animation that Chewy can't get annoyed about.
It's true.
If spaghetti monster comes across your screen or whatever, there'll be no, can't stand these animations. It's like, well, that's your Eldrazi. That's your Emrakul. Like, yep.
Exactly. So,
all right.
A couple of other cards we were going to talk about.
Yep.
Lands. There was a rare land cycle in this set, and they are called the show lands because Choked Estuary, for example, it's blue and a black. As it enters the battlefield, you may reveal an island or swamp card from your hand. Importantly, it's not a basic, so if you've got triomes and things, that works. It says, if you don't, Choked Estuary enters the battlefield tapped. In case you can't tell from that description, these lands suck. They saw
always have, always will.
Yeah, they saw very little play in Standard because they're just bad. It just requires you to hold on to lands, and the off chance, the play pattern was just garbage.
They don't work with themselves.
Correct, because they don't have a basic land type.
Yep.
So if you had two of these in your hand, you're just like, well, I guess I'm just dead. However, they have downshifted them. So they are now uncommons rather than rares, which is something we've seen in these sets where they take multiples. We saw it with the Hour of Devastation one that they did, where they combine multiple sets and they do a bit of rarity maneuvering, but it's very, very rare that we get rare lands downshifted. Like, we have the temples that are kind of bad, and they're still a rare, even though they should probably be commons.
And they've been reprinted 500 times.
Yeah, correct. But they didn't ever downshift those in anything. So these are uncommons, and don't waste your wild cards on them.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing worse than you buy a bunch of these packs, you crack them, and then half of your rare slots are filled with the garbage lands that you're never going to play.
I'd be salty about that. Because there's also the other uncommons in this set, which are Highland Lake, which is just straight enters the battlefield tapped for blue or red, which is effectively the same thing, the majority of the time.
Pretty much.
But there is Gaia Reach Sanitarium still at rare, which is 2 tap. Each player draws a card, then discards. I think that's and then there's Handwear Battlements, which
there's the meld.
Used to see play, but I don't think that's going to see play.
There's a few of the meld cards. You've got the Gisela and Bruna and that sort of thing. There is Westvale Abbey, which in Standard was one of my favourite cards. Absolutely loved that card, and the art was sweet, but just not playable outside of Standard.
No, because if you've got 5 creatures chilling, you're probably already winning.
Yeah.
In Pioneer. I'm going to sacrifice them and make one creature.
Yes. And then you're going to
lose the
kill
game.
it with what's the enchantment we're talking about?
Leyline binding. I don't want to talk about Leyline. What? All right. That card is just... Look, I love you, J Mud, but so help me. That card is dumb.
turn 2 and turn 3 Leyline bindings. Yeah, thanks, J Mud.
Feels good. For 1 mana. Yeah. Like what? Anyway.
All right, so... Yeah, any other cards you're interested in from this?
No, I am shocked by the cards that I thought would be good, and looking at them again now in like, what are we, 7 years later, these cards are just mostly bad.
Yep. Okay, well, yeah, we'll see what effect it has on Explorer, and hopefully see a few more Pioneer-based lists getting played on Arena, which is pretty good. All right, the next setup is March of the Machines and the Aftermath. So, yeah, as we said, this releases April 21st, so this is the next standard set. The main set has cards in it called Multiverse Legends, which are basically like Mystical Archive or the retro artifacts that we had in the recent sets, that sort of thing. Like, you actually get 1 in each draft and set booster, and then you get 3 in the collector's boosters. And some of them are cards like Ragavan. So, like, fancy printings of Ragavan, which is kind of cool.
It is.
Yeah. It would be good to pick up a few of those because they are stupid expensive. But, yeah, interesting. I mean, I'd finally gotten to the point where it's like, all right, I need to stop buying sealed product. I'm buying a box and a bundle of every set. I need to stop. I've got to stop.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna call it with this set. And then it's like, Multiverse Legends. Oh, maybe I'm going to have to buy some.
Is that because you just really want to open a Thalia and then get Rogue Monster?
Yeah.
Or
for sure.
do you really want Galta and Maverin? I don't know. These are wild.
Yeah, let's have a quick look at some of the cards from this, and then we'll have a bit of a chat about the Aftermath, because I've got a theory on the Aftermath, which I've spoken to you about, Cracker. And we'll get into that. So talk to us about the Fairy Mastermind.
Yeah, Yuta Takahashi. It is his World Championship card. I think we mentioned this a little while ago, but it's worth talking about again because it's sweet. So it is 1 and a blue for a 2/1 with Flash and Flying. It says, whenever an opponent draws their second card on each turn, you draw a card. And then it has an activated ability, 3 and a blue, each player draws a card. Yuta is well known for playing fairies in Modern, even though fairies in Modern hasn't been playable for a very long time. He still
plays and still wins with it.
Still just wins because he's an absolute monster. So I really love that they've been doing this for a while now. It's cool. You've got, Yuta on the art, which is sweet. He's, flying about, waiting for people to draw cards. I don't know how much you can let people, on your turn, I'm going to give you an extra card. Okay, please spend 4 mana for that. I would love that. So I don't know how good it is, but it's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you flash it in, like if you activate it on their turn, so they draw their second card, you actually draw 2 cards as well.
Yes.
Because each player draws a card is the activated ability, and then you draw a card because your opponent's drawing their second card each turn. So it's
Correct.
4 mana, you draw 2, your opponent draws 1.
Yep. And then you can do it in their end step and all that sort of stuff, so it's not like it has to be.
There is a card called Narset, although Narset would stop that ability from working because they wouldn't actually draw the card. So, yeah, okay. I did hear that he really pushed, like obviously they designed these cards in consultation with the World Champ, that sort of thing, and he really pushed for it to be a 1/3, like same ability, same everything, but a 1/3 so that it can block Ragavan. And they said no.
So rude. It's the opposite. It's the opposite of Vendilion Click then as well. It's so elegant. Good design, Yuta. Well thought through, mate.
Yeah.
Unlucky.
But I think I've heard people saying it'll possibly see some play in Legacy, which I think Yuta is a heavy Legacy player, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, maybe see some play in Modern, but yeah, could slot into the mono blue lists in Standard as well. We'll have to see. Another card that might slot into the mono blue list in Standard is Moment of Truth. So another Anticipate variant sort of thing. This one's interesting. This is a bit more like our old mate Expressive Iteration, kind of. So 1 and a blue, instant. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 of those into your hand, 1 into your graveyard, and that 1 on the bottom of your library. That's a pretty decent upgrade.
Yeah, so this is like consider is to opt, as like moment of truth is to anticipate. So, yeah, if you don't know, putting cards in your graveyard is not a downside.
No, not usually.
It is actually just good. Do it as much as you can. Yeah, I don't know how much play it'll see, but 3 cards can be a lot. So yeah, it'll be one that I'll look at. And hey, it's a common, so I'll definitely try it out in my terrible spells decks that I keep playing.
Yeah, instant speed is very handy, so that certainly gives it a big upgrade from. Yeah, I mean, Expressive Iteration is obviously a very, very strong card, but
it just got banned in Legacy, I think. Yeah,
there's not many places you could play Expressive Iteration. I think Modern is the only place that it's legal.
Yeah, and Commander, but yeah,
and it'll probably see banning in Modern at some point.
Well, listen, if they ever feel the need to nerf Murktide, then that's a pretty good place to start. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. All right. Then we've got Omnath. We finally got 5-color Omnath. We've seen all sorts of versions of Omnath over the years, and we finally got the 5-color. So it's the 4 colors that it was previously, the white, blue, red, and green, and then it has a black Phyrexian mana symbol. So it does still count as black, so you can pay it for Wooburg, or you can play it for the 4 colors and 2 life. And this is a 4/4 Phyrexian elemental, so it is Omnath, all weird looking with a bunch of tentacles coming out its back. It's a bit creepy. And a bunch of, like, what's it called? Ichor,
yeah.
Stuff, like,
hanging off his arm.
Yep. So it is, if you would lose unspent mana, that mana becomes black instead, which is a callback to one of the old Omnaths.
The original Omnath.
One?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, you could green mana wouldn't empty from your mana pool, and it became his power increased by the amount of mana in your pool.
Yep. And then at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card if it has 3 or more. This is really confusing. 3 or more colored mana symbols in its mana cost. If you do, add 3 mana in any combination of its colors and put it into your hand. If you don't, reveal it and put it into your hand. Super confusing, but my basic understanding is you draw the card. You draw the card no matter what. But then if the card happens to have 3 colored mana symbols on it, they don't have to be 3 of the same. They just have to be 3 of any colored mana symbols. Then you get to add 3 mana of your choosing of any of those colors.
Correct.
And then you still put it into your hand.
Correct.
So, very strange. Very, 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 very strange. So I guess you could play it in your main phase. No, it's at your pre-combat. Beginning of your so it's your next turn, so you got to untap with it, and then you get the ability. Strange. Either way, you draw a card, and then sometimes you will add 3 mana to your mana pool.
Yep. But then it doesn't empty.
No, yeah. So then
it just becomes
if you don't
black.
use it at the end of your turn, or as you change phases, it'll turn into black mana.
And you just get to keep it.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. And then there's a bunch of, you mentioned, we've got Thalia and the Gidrog monster. There's Golta and Mavrin, Drana and Linvala, Yargle and Moltani. Like, just a bunch of legends jammed together.
Yep.
Which is weird.
Yep.
And mostly it's just their abilities jammed together.
Yep.
And their stats jammed together. It's strange. I don't know what's going on in this set. Obviously, it's a whole bunch of planes colliding or something, Multiverse of Madness style.
Pretty much. Yeah, and that's my reading of it, is it's like the full end game kind of thing where, or I never thought I'd fight with an elf kind of thing, bringing it to the Lord of the Rings. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of hate it, honestly. I know some people are really excited, but it just seems... It feels like silver border stuff.
Yeah, it does. Yep. Yeah, I don't like when they, like, all these cards, like pairing up these legends just feel like commander cards, and it just really annoys me when they just jam the standard sets full of commander cards. It's like, you've got commander specific sets, you've got commander decks. We didn't mention before, but every single, so like March of the Machines has Commander decks. Lord of the Rings set has Commander decks. Commander Masters has Commander decks. There's like 4 or 5 Commander decks for each one of those. So that's like 12 to 15 Commander decks where they can print Commander-specific stuff, as well as Commander Masters, an entire set that is Commander stuff. Why do they need to force all that stuff into standard sets? Like, just make good standard sets, and then people will buy the cards. You don't have to put all this Commander stuff.
Yeah. It feels really forced. Like, the set with all of the Planeswalkers made sense to me. Because there was the artifacts that dragged them all. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, like, Bolas was trying to steal everyone's Spark. Or a Spark, right? That was what it was called.
Yeah, it was awesome. I really liked that. It was good.
It made a lot of sense thematically, whereas this just feels like they've kind of, I don't know, run out of ideas.
It's borrowing from Marvel. I mean, we had the Gatewatch, which was the Avengers. Now we're in the Multiverse of Madness. So we're going to see Ant-Man soon, and...
I mean, that's right, mate. We've got Yargle and Multani, which has got the biggest power of any creature printed in Magic. 18 power.
Yep. It's also got green in its mana symbol, so it could definitely be used with, what's the green, the Neoform deck, where you, like...
Allosaurus Rider?
Yeah, like all that, but what's the green card where you, like you discard or you exile a green card and you gain
Nourishing Shoal.
Life. Nourishing Shoal,
yeah.
So now you Nourishing Shoal with your Yargle.
Yeah, for that extra 3 life. The reason you do that with Worldspawn Worm is it does shuffle back in.
But, exactly.
Yeah, anyway.
The 3 life really matters.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
Yep.
I don't know. Yep. Look, some of the other stuff looks sweet. Like, the new Jin looks cool. The new Chandra looks like it'll be interesting. There's definitely cards that are going to be good. I don't know what else there is to say. This one.
Who knows? Yeah, and so, the other thing that makes this set weird, so obviously we're going to have a bunch more previews of that over the next few weeks, so we'll probably talk about that again, but March of the Machines has the Aftermath. So this is something that Wizards hasn't done before. So this is releasing May the 12th, so it's like 3 weeks after the main set releases, we're getting Aftermath, which is a 50 card set, and this I'm going to read this off of Wizards' description. So, get a lore-packed epilogue booster to witness the conclusion of the March of the Machine storyline. So obviously we're ending March of the Machine and then we're going to Eldraine. So that whole storyline with Dominaria and Phyrexia and that sort of stuff is all going to end. So this is some sort of story-based set that's going to wrap it all up. 50 cards. They're coming in booster packs of 5 Magic cards. You get 1 to 3 cards of rarity rare or higher, and then 2 to 4 uncommon cards in every pack. So there's no commons. It's 2 to 4 uncommons, and then 1 to 3 rares or mythics. You're guaranteed a foil and a showcase card in every pack. And then they've got this line of rebuild the multiverse while building up your collection, which is strange. That's a weird line to put in it, but this is strange. Like, these are going into standard. It's going to be released on Arena. It's 3 weeks after the standard set releases. I don't know if there's a Pro Tour in between this release. Question. That's something that we could probably look up if we were good podcasters.
I don't know if Wizards actually releases things that far in advance, do they?
No, well, the next Pro Tour is that Minneapolis? Is that the next? I think that might be the next one. So, anyway, we could look up the date. But this is weird, and I had a theory that I'm gonna quickly share. I've shared this with you, Cracker, but I had a theory. I remember a tweet coming out from Aaron Forsyth or Mark Rosewater, or so, one of the powers that be at Wizards, talking about booster packs and draft boosters and just getting people's opinion on the sizes of packs and things like that. And my theory is that this is a test case for scrapping regular draft sets and the 250 card sets that we get at the moment, because tons of effort goes into building every standard set so that it is draftable. They have to pay a fortune in art licenses. You've got to design all the cards, you've got to spend ages designing the draft format, all that sort of thing, testing, whatever, to build a draft format, and then you release it as a standard set, and then 30 of the 250 cards actually get played and the rest are basically just garbage. So my theory is that if something like this sells well, this is where they're going to go in the future, and they're going to have standard sets are going to be 50 cards, and they're going to come in packs like this, and then they're going to release draft-specific sets. So rather than having 4 standard sets that are draftable sets each year, plus all, your Modern Horizon sets that are also draftable and everything else that's draftable, they'll do like 1 or 2 draft-specific sets based on some sort of theme, and then your standard releases will just be small sets like this, because at the end of the day, that's really all people care about. It's basically, you look, every time we talk about standard, it's like, oh yeah, this deck is 52 rares and 7 mythics, and there's like 3 uncommons in there somewhere. So no one really cares about the commons and uncommons. And that's my tinfoil hat theory. I think that's where it's going. Could be completely wrong, but I'm putting it out there now. So if that's what happens, I look really cool.
On the record. And if not, no one will remember, so it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah, no one listens to this anyway, so that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. I legitimately have no idea. It's definitely really interesting, and it's something that you see with other like digital first games.
Yeah.
Where they do these kind of major releases, and then shortly after they do, these shake-up things, which seems like a really good thing for Arena and trying to keep it fresh. But
it just seems really close.
So
like 3
much
weeks
product,
is not long.
man. No, correct. It is not. And it makes the set massive. It's going to be effectively 320 cards or something like that.
Yeah, like I could see, you release it on April 21st, and then a month and a half, like 6 weeks later, like halfway between that set releasing and the next standard set, then you release it as that fresh injection of, let's change up the format a little bit with these extra cards. Yep, I could get that. But 3 weeks, it's like, I haven't even started crafting cards yet of the new set. I'm still waiting to see what people are playing.
So, my tinfoil hat theory.
Go for it.
Rebuild the metaverse, the multiverse, while building your collection. I think they've gone full old school Marvel, and it's just a dream sequence. And Teferi's going to wake up.
I'm
none
pretty
of
sure
us are real.
Teferi is going to...
He's either going to snap his fingers and
turn back
rewind time,
yep,
or none of it was real.
Yeah.
And it's going to make a lot of people really mad. It's like it's like it's the old clickbait comic book titles. It's like the death of Wolverine, and it's just like Kitty Pryde had a dream that Wolverine died. He's like, hang on, Wolverine can't die. Like this just doesn't make sense at all. Anyway,
all right,
that's all I got.
Yep. Okay, we'll see what happens with that one. Let's move on to the next one. So Lord of the Rings, releases June 21st. So this is Modern Legal set replacing the Modern Horizon set for the year, and it is going to be Modern Horizons prices. So it's going to be expensive. One thing that is a little bit strange, or that I thought was a bit strange, is they're not using the art or the actors from the movies. Like it's all fresh art.
Yep.
Which was not what I was expecting. When they said Lord of the Rings set, I was expecting, boxes with, what's his name? Sir Ian McKellen on them, and Frodo and all this sort of stuff. Like I was expecting that to be
Orlando
all over the
Bloom and
exactly.
Correct.
That's not what we're getting at all. So that's completely changed my perception of the set,
which is interesting because we've seen that in the past. We saw it with The Walking Dead. We've seen it with, admittedly, it's slightly different, but Fortnite, using all the original characters and art for those. So it's definitely things that we've seen before. Like all the Warhammer stuff is all original. Games Portal.
Games Workshop.
Games Workshop, that's on. Games Portal's the store. Yeah, all their art. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this yet. Most of the cards have only been out, yesterday.
Yeah, it's only just starting. And again, it's like, why are you previewing this now? You've got 2 sets to come out before then. So
who knows?
Why are we previewing it? I don't know. It's weird. So yes, we do have some previews. So we've got Sam, we've got Radagast. I think this is going to be a set where we're going to have multiple Sams, multiple Frodos.
Correct. Yes, that is confirmed.
Yep. We've got the other thing that's also confusing, because there is a commander set that comes in line with this. We've got Soul Rings.
Oh, they're not putting Soul Ring into mod?
No, there's Wasteland, the Valley of Gorgoroth, but no, that's going to commander. That's not going to standard. We've got, Golem, and I'm tipping there's going to be a few different Golems. We've got some very cool lands. Do you like these lands, Cracker? I quite like them.
They look great.
So they're pieces of the map. So if you've ever read any of the Lord of the Rings books, there was always maps, at the front or the back of the book that showed, the area of Middle Earth and all that sort of stuff. And so it's literally those drawings from the maps coloured in and put onto lands.
They are basic lands, just to be clear. Yeah. There's also the Shire is a legendary land, which is pretty cool. So it makes food. Taps for green.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yeah, so it enters
didn't see
tapped unless you control a legendary creature. Taps for a green. 1 and a green. Tap an untapped creature you control. Create a food token.
Nice.
Sam also makes food.
Yep. Yeah, we do have 2 versions of Sam. So we've got Sam, Loyal Attendant, and then there's Samwise the Stout-Hearted. So yeah, two versions of that already revealed. A couple of cards to touch on. We have Reprieve. Do you want to read us this one, Cracker? You've probably cast the different version of this card.
I have absolutely cast the other version of this card. It is 1 and a white. For an instant, return target spells to its owner's hand. Draw a card. This is Remand. They've even gone for like a name that's very the same.
Yep.
This card is stupid good. It is like Remand is, it's just always been really good. It's a card I've wanted in Standard for quite a long time. And they're never going to do that.
Nope.
which is a real shame. But now white just has a counter spell.
Yeah, I mean we had Mana Tithe. What's the?
That's
the counter unless you pay 1.
Correct.
The color shifted 1. But
yeah. So I actually saw, just briefly on this, I saw Maro talking about it, and he was saying that it's actually been in, because people are like, oh, it's breaking the color pie. And he's like, it's actually been in white's color pie for quite a long time now. They've just never printed it before. Okay. And it is, because it's not a true counterspell, it is a tempo/taxing effect. So think Elite Spellbinder, like those kind of, things where it just slows your opponent down. It taxes the mana without it being like an actual hard counter. So they would never reprint Mana Tithe into a standard set or anything like that. Like that's never going to happen. But cards like this where it is,
Cracker, it says draw a card on it.
I know. I was about to say
any sort of drawback
that is
giving
the
your
only
opponent
problem.
A card or anything like that. Like, white doesn't need to do that.
No, I know. Apparently they do now. I tell you what else draws cards. The One Ring.
Yes.
The One Ring. Let me read this card out.
Go for it.
Because it is 4 mana for a legendary artifact that is indestructible. It's got basically a chapter of the book on it, but it says when the One Ring enters the battlefield, if you cast it, you gain protection from everything until your next turn. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life for each burden counter on the One Ring. Tap, place a burden counter on the One Ring, then draw a card for each burden counter on the One Ring. Oh boy, that's a lot of text.
Yep. A lot of good text though.
That seems, look, I don't know, it's not going to see play in Modern. It's just not fast enough.
I mean, it's going to see play probably as a Karn wishboard target for sure.
As a Witchbane Orb?
I mean, it's just card draw in colours that.
Yeah, I guess it's just
like if you're like if you put two burden counters on it, like every time you tap it, you're drawing 2 extra cards. Like you tap it the first time, which you can do the turn you play it. You draw a card. Next turn you draw 2 cards. The next turn you draw 3 cards. If you've got any way to proliferate, you're drawing more cards. Like and it's indestructible.
Karn needs to be banned.
Yes, I've been saying that for a while.
I know, so have I. Anyway, What's the more interesting thing about the One Ring?
Well, there is going to be only one of them, Cracker. So, yeah, there's obviously a whole bunch of versions of this. There's like 4 or 5 different printings, and they all come in different boosters and whatever. But there is a version of the One Ring which is full art, elven writing. I'm assuming it's foil, so it's probably going to look like a Pringle. And it is numbered 1 of 1. And it says down the bottom, 1 of 1 ring. There is only going to be 1 of this card in existence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only going to be available in English collector boosters.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, how much do you think this is going to be worth?
Hundreds of thousands.
Like
legitimately. I think that
I mean
this is now immediately the rarest card ever.
Yeah, ever. Yep.
And
that's insane.
Someone is going to want to pay a lot.
Like someone like Post Malone or someone like that is going to buy up this card. Like someone's going to crack it. Some very lucky person in the middle of nowhere is going to crack it. It's going to get posted on Twitter. It's going to get passed around. And then that person's going to get contacted by Post Malone or the boxer dude or whatever. Like someone, Cassius Marsh, someone with stacks of money. And it's going to be like, yep, 200 grand. No worries. Snap it off. Done. And then it's going to sit in their collection forever. They're going to put it in a slab and wear it to parties and things like that. And goodness me, like 1 of 1. Wow.
You know what?
And I mean, it is the perfect card to do this for. Like,
It
is the one
really
ring.
is. And one of the cool things, because some of the arts got previewed before, there was the 1 of 1. And people were like, oh, why isn't the inscription showing up on the One Ring? That just seems like a big miss. Nope, they didn't miss it.
Oh, I didn't actually realise that.
They only put the inscription, the One Ring to rule them all, One Ring to bind them stuff on that one. So all the other versions do not have it because it is the One Ring.
Yeah, nice.
Which is very cool.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I love that they've done this. I think that this is the way to do chase cards.
Yep. I mean, I'm just going to have to buy a collector booster.
Just one, correct.
At some point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be like Willy Wonka, like golden tickets, like, you know.
Yeah, but there was like 8 of those.
A whole bunch of people are going to be cracking packs, and it's like, has it been opened yet? Has anybody found it yet? No. And it's going to go for like weeks and weeks and weeks, and it's like, all right, well, no one's found it yet, so I have to go and buy a booster just in case I buy the booster that has it.
That's it. That booster that costs you $40 or whatever they cost.
Yeah, but imagine if it doesn't get opened. Like, there's a whole bunch of product that never gets opened, and this could easily just be sitting on someone's shelf somewhere for years and never get opened. And
almost like the actual ring in the story. It's brilliant. Like
sitting in the bottom of a river somewhere.
Or in a tip.
Or in a
we never
dump
talked
in
about
Texas.
that. Oh, dear.
All right. Yeah.
Look, we're all fans of Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
The Beans. We're all massive nerds. We all, read the books and went and saw the movies on release day and stuff like that. Like we all are big fans. So I'm very keen to see what the rest of this looks like. At the moment, it doesn't feel like a Modern Horizons set. It feels like a Commander set. But that's okay. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, I'm hoping that they do print some
powerful things,
Commander playable stuff. But yeah,
modern playable stuff.
Modern playable stuff. Because we don't have much previewed yet, so I'm sure there will.
Correct.
I'm sure there will be stuff, but yeah, who knows? All right. So a couple of quick things to hit on the way out the door, because our short podcast is not short, as usual. So this weekend there is an Arena Championship. So this is basically the Arena version of the Pro Tour. It's that sort of level on the pyramid or whatever. This is only 32 players, so small field, $200,000 prize pool. I looked at it, and like, if you don't win a match, just for showing up, you get $1,500. Like, that's pretty good. So
it's closer to Worlds than a PT.
I don't know why it's 32 players. It's very strange. Like, for that sort of prize pool and all that sort of thing, like, it really should be like 256 players or something like that. But yeah, this is players have qualified through winning the various arena playing qualifiers and all that sort of stuff to get there. So it's a fair bit of effort to get there, but yeah, I would have thought it'd be bigger. So maybe they'll change that in future years. But $200,000 prize pool, good on these players. Like, that's pretty nuts. And then whoever wins gets a Worlds invite as well. The format is all will be one draft. Cool. Sounds good. And the rest of the weekend is historic because it's an arena. At least it's not alchemy. I guess historic's all right.
It's got alchemy cards in it, mate.
So yeah, I don't know. There's going to be coverage. It's going to be streamed all weekend by Wizards, commentary, all that sort of thing. I'm tipping the viewer numbers on this are going to be way lower than the viewer numbers that have been on the paper Pro Tours, but who knows? We'll see what happens. I for one won't be tuning in. I'm not interested at all in watching draft or historic. So good luck to them, but I'm sure somebody will win it with cards, and there will likely be some alchemy cards in their decks. So good for you. And then the last thing is the reminder on our league. So there is only a few days left on the league. Monday night next week, so Monday the 20th of March is the cutoff, and then we'll be kicking straight into the finals. So I should be streaming next Monday. I've missed the last couple of weeks. Yeah, was super tired after the regional championships a couple of weeks ago, and then this week we were away. It was a long weekend here in Victoria, so I didn't get home till late. And then I've spent the last 2 days on the toilet for anyone's information. It's been great fun. But yeah, I will be streaming this Monday night, and yeah, we'll hopefully have some league finals matches to stream. So we might have to tee something up with you, maybe crack it. We can do some commentary on some matches.
For
see
sure.
How we go. But yeah, get your matches in. There's been stacks of matches getting played over the last couple of days, which is awesome to see. But still a few days to go, and you've got the weekend. So try and get them done, get those extra matches done. It might just jump you up there into the top 8, and then make your way into the finals to get your hands on some cash. That's it. Anything else you want to mention on the way out the door, Cracker?
Nope. I think that's everything.
All done. All right. Well, yeah, if you do want to get in on our next league, which will likely be Explorer, that should kick off just after the release of March of the Machines. Maybe we'll have to wait for the aftermath. We'll figure that out. But yeah, it'll be either end of April or early May for the next league. So if you want to get on that, come and join us in our Discord, which you should be in there anyway. Awesome place to be. Come and join us in there. There's a link in the show notes for our merch store. Was, as you guys mentioned, it was very cool seeing Azzy G wearing pictures of us.
Yeah, it really
t-shirt. Was. So, yeah, if you're ever coming to any sort of event that the Beans are going to be there, wear your Beans gear because it's just so cool for us to see that. Go and check out Josh and Pat's MTG Bazaar and get a bargain on their daily auctions. Just go to jpmtgbazaar.com.au. That'll take you straight to it. And then there is our website, magicbeanscast.com, where you can go to find all of our links for YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter. If you would like to find me on Twitter, I am at PSync, and you are, Cracker?
At JoelHill_.
So that's it for this week. Thank you, as always, for listening. Stay safe out there, and we will see you all next time.